morning, Americans and humans. This is your favorite alien on the morning of Thursday, April 28th, 2022. And today I want to do answers to questions I've got on my videos, especially the one on World War III, where these two guys had 30 emails on this one, but the top two guys here, or top two persons, was a Michael J. from Indianapolis, Indiana, and a Mary Collins. I know a Mary Collins, but this is different. She lives in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Boy, brr. Yeah, that's what I say about Kenosha, Wisconsin. But anyway, for Michael and Mary, especially Mary Collins, who put it, you sound like a quack. Gee, Mary, what a way to start, huh? A quack, huh? You think that World War III is coming down this month or in May? What makes you think like that? Why are you scaring people? I'm not trying to scare people. And Michael J. writes, give me information that you have that World War III is coming and why you think so. There's no precedence on this happening before. I think, Michael J., you kind of lost track of where you were, or you didn't get a good education, or whatever it may be. But let me put people of you, like you, and tell you why I say this. So today's topic is titled WW3 Deja Vu. Okay? And I'll give you why. When the Russians invaded Ukraine, it took them a few weeks, in fact over a month, and they had troops on their borders, and troops on the borders of Belarus, didn't they? Yeah? Okay. So let me give you some equivalents, and you see what I mean by deja vu. The Soviet Union disintegrated in 1991. Okay? So let me give you examples from World War II. In 1917, the Kaiser started disintegrating in Germany. By 1918, he had to abdicate, and the Germans sued for peace. So in 1991, the Soviet Union disintegrated, and 14 of its republics decided to leave the Soviet Union. Now, if that doesn't tell you something, how many states, when the United States disintegrates, is that going to happen to? Really? No? You never thought of that, did you, Michael and Mary? Yeah. See what I mean? Then, after the war ended in 1918, World War I, you had a Weimar Republic established in Germany, and they had to sue for peace. Okay? So you had the Versailles Treaty. Yeah. Well, the Weimar Republic, as you know, turned out to be a disaster. In 1991, the Russian Federation got most of the Soviet Union's assets. And it was led by a guy named Boris Yeltsin. Oh, boy. Just like the Weimar Republic. Oh, boy. So here we are, 1918, and it struggled along till 1932. That's the Weimar Republic in Germany. It went through bad times, depression. The money that people could go around with wheelbarrows full of German marks and couldn't buy a thing, not even a loaf of bread. Okay? That's how bad it was. In 1991, Russia limped along. People were getting drunk all over the place. I mean, alcoholism was a disaster between 1991 and 1999. Yeah. And organizations sprung up, mafia-styled organizations, which are still around today. In fact, there's a lot of them in New York City. Yeah. Brighton Beach, yo. Yeah. Okay. So, like the Weimar Republic, that's what it was in Russia. And in 1932, Hitler won the election. Yo, sure, he didn't win by a landslide. And, well, Vladimir Putin came into power in 1999. And they had gripes. Because at the time when Hitler came into power in 1932, he had the Versailles Treaty around his neck. And in 1923, the French had invaded the Ruhr, and they were in the Ruhr since for almost 10 years. Okay? So by the time he took power in 1933 in January, I hate those French. I got to get them out of the Ruhr. Yeah, I hate the Versailles Treaty. And Vladimir Putin said, I hate what they've done to Mother Russia here. It's a disaster. All my Soviet republics are gone. The three, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, are playing footsies with the West. Ukraine is a disaster. I need that back because it's my breadbasket. Yeah. I don't care about the Ukrainians. I just want the land. Yeah. Okay. So from 1999 till 2014, he set forth to, 1, rehabilitate Russia to a certain level of standing, same as what Hitler had to do with Germany. So between 1933 and 39, Hitler did the same thing that Putin did from 1999 to 2014. And the things that they did, okay? Hitler took back the war in 1936 without a shot from the West, especially France. No shot. In 1914, Putin claimed the Crimea Peninsula, which technically was his anyway, with no shots from the West. The West was a paper tiger. Sure, the Ukrainians protested, but they were in no means to do anything about it. Heck, he even took the eastern Donbass region of Ukraine, which he did the same thing. Hitler would do the same thing with the Sudetenland over there in Czechoslovakia. He took that. And then, nobody said a thing there. In fact, all they said is, peace in our time. Mr. Chamberlain? Yeah, remember that? Okay, so he says, nobody took that. I'll take the whole stuff there. So he took the whole stuff. And that's what Putin was concerned. Okay? He got nothing there. But in the meantime, he had to get his forces ready. So did Putin. He didn't know what he had before he invaded Crimea in 2014. So he had to test it. And what other test than over there at the civil war in Syria? That used to be our client state a while back under the Soviet Union. Okay, you need help, Mr. Bashar over there, Assad? Yeah, okay. I'll send you some. And I'll take over it, and we'll see what we got. And he did. He took over it just like the Germans took over the Spanish Civil War and gave the Republicans, hence the guys with the crown, fits, because he was introducing his way of fighting, blitzkrieg, and also the armaments that he was introducing. His Stuka airplanes diving down with the little noise. Boom. Yeah. Well, that's the same thing Putin did in Syria, especially in towns like Aleppo. He was introducing his way of fighting, and let's eliminate as many people as we can, and they'll sue for peace and they won't fight back. Well, the Arabs, they fight back the best way they could, but the Arabs never learned how to fight a good fight. So, boom, down they went. And he used also illegal weapons. Let's see, how much chemical weapons can we use here? The West is a paper tiger. It won't do a thing. And he did. And that's what the Germans did with their incendiary bombs and everything that they threw at the Spanish. So they tested their equipment. Then comes 1939 and 2022. Now, the history books say that the Germans invaded Poland on September 1st, 1939. Really? They just walked in there and invaded Poland on September 1st, 1939. But over here, you have the newscast and everything saying, oh, the Russians are amassing their troops on the border. This started in January. About the 15th of January. Oh, yeah, they're getting over there. Now they're amassing troops in Belarus. It went through February all the way up there. Oh, yoo-hoo, we have the Olympics here in China. And Mr. Xi says maybe, Mr. Putin, can you hold up on that until the Olympics are over, please? Oh, yeah, no problem. I'll just sit here. Okay. And Hitler wasn't in no hurry either. When did he start amassing troops in the border with Poland? I bet you it was months before September 1st, 1939. And Neighbor Chamberlain knew about that because he could see it. Sure, there wasn't no satellites and anything that can tell you, oh, there's the troops here, and how many we got there? Oh, they could just, have people on the ground. It wasn't the same, but they knew that the Russians were amassing a big force. So September 1st comes around. And then the Olympics over here in China end. And February 24th comes around here in 2022. Hitler invades Poland. Fierce resistance from the Polish. I mean, they gave him fierce. So don't sell the Polish out, okay? Short. They gave him a fierce resistance, but they didn't have the weapons. Now, between 1914 and 2022, the Ukrainians got themselves, they got the first taste and they said, oh, we got to do something about this. So they got themselves ready. Didn't have the weapons they needed yet, but they had the determination, the training, and they went themselves and gave the Russians fits. But the Russians wasn't the Wehrmacht, The Wehrmacht was highly trained force. The Russians, they just had their technology over that, but as far as military prowess for Russia, that's what happened. So here we are, Americans. Russia is in a quagmire. And you must remember that on September 3rd, France and Germany declared war on on Germany. Why? Because they said they had to honor their treaty with Poland. Did the treaty help Poland? Absolutely not. So what happened? Well, the books called it the Phony War from September 3rd, 1939 to May of 1940. And that's what you got here is the phony war going on between the Russians and the Ukrainians. The Russians decided, okay, we got whipped here, so we're going to go over to the east and south, and we're going to reconstitute our forces, and we're going to try to get a bridge over there and get Odessa and take whatever we can from Ukraine. And that's the way the West and the news media from the West are reporting it. Really? Well, what happened in Poland? in 1939. On September 17th, the Soviet Union decided to invade before the Russians got too close to their border. Mind you, they had a non-aggression pact. But still, Stalin had the sense that we got to stop them here before they get to our border. Yeah, and he knew better. So they divided Poland just like they did in 1795 into the Russian half and the German half, and they were both bad to Poles. Neither one loved them. Russia doesn't love the Poles, and the Germans didn't love the Poles, and I bet you they still don't love the Poles today. Well, and here we are with the paper tigers of the West, and you know who they are, and the Russians under Putin here. But he's under a deadline, same as Hitler was under a deadline over there. So Hitler used blitzkrieg in May 1940, and in less than a month, conquered all of Europe because they didn't see what he was doing in the Spanish Civil War, and his style of warfare was never put up there. And the next thing, they were caught with their pants down, and down went France,